Whew. I think I did that last time too. Just feels natural.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like, whoa, it's so exciting. Hi, my name is Kim Truong and I'm a reviewer with QAI, and today I'll be talking about commonly asked questions for the certification process for handlers and processors. So to begin the process of organic certification, there are a couple key forms that you'll be filling out and submitting to QAI. One of those forms is the application for organic certification. The application for organic certification is pretty straightforward. If you look at it, it's going to be asking for the main contact name, the business name, the address, brand names that are owned by the facility, and brands that aren't owned but might be co-packed, and also other programs that you might be applying for. The second key form that you'll be submitting is the Organic System Plan, as we call the OSP. And the NOP requires this form, and each certifier has their own version. So the OSP has several questions related to how your facility is set up to handle organic products. And this is important to fill out whether your facility is going to be handling only organic product, or you handle conventional product now and you want to handle organic. And it's going to go through questions about ingredient sourcing and purchasing, also sanitation materials, pest control materials, if water is used in your facility, packaging materials. So it's quite comprehensive, but it does require a fair amount of detail for you to complete and fill out and ensure that it's compliant with the NOP standards. So the OSP might be difficult for you to fill out if it's your first time ever applying for organic certification, but you can use it as a learning tool for how to adjust your facility and your system to comply with the NOP's requirements. There might be additional information that we need in order to move forward to inspection, just to ensure that it is set up to comply with the NOP organic standards. So you may receive an incomplete letter, which will request additional information, very specific piece of information that you'll need to submit before we move on to an on-site inspection. So an on-site inspection is required for all facilities that are applying for organic certification with the NOP. And for your initial inspection, what you'll be receiving from your inspector is an email to schedule it, possibly through a phone call as well. And you'll also be receiving a pre-meeting letter from the inspector, which will describe just a basic overview of what the inspector will be looking for and looking at. And just if you have any questions at that time, you can reach out to the inspector. So the inspector will be looking at components of your OSP in practice and recording these observations in their work order. So if you look at the OSP, it's actually a really great guide to see what they're going to be looking at. For example, contamination and commingling for a handler or processor. This might mean looking at the receiving area for storage of materials that are received, how organic ingredients are going to be identified so that they're different than conventional ingredients. So the OSP also goes into pest control management, which is a key part of the NOP organic requirements that has to be managed a certain way. So that might include looking around the facility, looking for traps or lures, looking at past logs to see if any fumigations have occurred, and just seeing how the facility is set up to deal with those in the future if organic processing also occurs. Another key area that the inspector will be looking at is record keeping. So you have the application, you have the OSP, and then at your own facility, they might be looking at supplier certificates for organic ingredients, which you should have on hand if you're proposing them for use. And they might also be looking at specification sheets or supporting documentation for cleaners, sanitizers, pest control materials, and other inputs that you might be using for your products. So other areas of record keeping they might be looking at is your purchasing system and your sales system too. So this might include just how organic ingredients are going to be determined to be okay for use, and also how they're going to be tracked when they're sold, and also doing inventory and production, batch records, how that's going to be set up to ensure that organic ingredients are tracked and followed throughout the system. So following the inspection, the inspector's work order, their observations that they saw on site at the facility, along with the key documentation such as the application, the OSP, and product profile documentation will all be reviewed internally by a reviewer. And the reviewer will determine whether more information, maybe some corrective actions are needed to move forward in order to comply with the NOP standard. So after it's reviewed internally, you'll receive a decision letter stating if QAI needs more information to move forward to the certificate issue. And this is really common with new applicants just because there's usually a little bit that's missing within the OSP, or just a little bit tightening up that needs to happen, either with documentation that needs to be submitted or with just the procedures on site. So the review decision letter will outline maybe non-compliance points. So depending on the severity of the finding in the letter, it will require a response before the certificate is issued if it is a 30-day point in the letter. So common 30-day points are missing supplier certificates, or maybe an invoice isn't paid yet, or a procedure needs to be created or revised so that it just accounts better for materials being used and being applied. And so these are very common, especially if you're new to organic certification. And we just require responses in 30 days that addresses those and meets the requirements of the regulation in order to issue a certificate for that facility. So after complete responses are submitted for these 30-day points, the certificate and organic system plan summary will be issued. So the Organic System Plan Summary, also known as the OSPS, is a product listing of the products that are certified by QAI. So those are approved to be marketed, labeled, processed, and you can sell these following the certificate issue. So it is important, if you have any changes during the year, if you want to add more labels, add more products, that you notify QAI of these changes so that they can be verified and approved. Other changes that you'll need to notify QAI about are changes to sanitation or pest control with regards to the organic system plan. So just ensure that you're always keeping track of the OSP and that you're submitting those updates to QAI and you're obtaining approval and that they're verifying it before you proceed with making those changes on site.